Hi, my name is Gerhard Schwantner for Sales 2.0.
And Barry Traylor with CSO Insights.
Barry, can we talk about Sales Management 2.0? What does that mean?
Sure. Well, I think that it's a new day for sales and especially a new day for sales managers. And with all the focus on people, process, technology, and knowledge, I think there's been a lot of focus on getting systems in place and getting sales reps up to speed. But we think that sales managers have largely been overlooked and are largely overwhelmed. And much of what sales managers do today, in our view, is really doing what was done to them and done for them, when they were reps. And we think that just doesn't play today.
Barry, how many Sales Management 2.0 technology solutions do you see out there right now?
Well, I don't think that there are technologies that necessarily call themselves that, but probably the thing that we're seeing a lot of, and certainly you've seen and heard about, are manager dashboards or management dashboards. And I think that that's certainly looking in the right direction.
Right.
But they are largely showing graphical displays of there's snapshots in time.
But correct me if I'm wrong, but I see a lot of solutions around online hiring and recruiting. I see a lot of online training. I see a lot of online analytics, like Lucidera. I see a lot of tools that are available to the sales manager to manage through a browser anywhere. So the question is, how many, I did a count myself. And I found about over 800 different solutions. So on the other hand, you have the limited amount of time. A sales manager has typically about 80% of his or her time is spent with with operational issues, and only about 20% with structural issues. And out of that 20% where they tweak the structure, 80% again is spent in correcting and fine-tuning and adjusting legacy systems, and only 20% of that time is spent on innovation.
Well, let me ask you a question. As you sort of go through those numbers, and the 80% that's operational and the 20% that's structural, what percentage, in your experience and the folks that you talk to, is coaching and development of their people?
Very little. And yet, as you know, coaching and developing people yields the maximum return. There's a study by the Sales Executive Board that say that if a sales manager spends 3 hours with a salesperson, then the activity of that salesperson goes up by about 230%, and the chances of exceeding that goal multiplies dramatically. But what I'm getting at is that there's such a huge avalanche of solutions out there, and on the other hand, there's such a limited amount of time. A sales manager spends less than maybe 2 hours a week on innovation. So if you look at all the solutions out there, it will take them 10 years to look at everything.
Well, my favorite line from a CSO that we were interviewing said if she bought all the CRM and sales productivity solutions that were offered to her, she'd be out of business in 6 months. You just can't do it. And I think, and we've written a white paper, Sales Management 2.0, that provides a framework for management. I think that most managers are largely operating from gut feel. And yeah, there are these tools, like hiring online or some of the other online solutions are being provided. But I don't get that there's a context or a framework for people to say, here's how I operate and here's where this fits in. And they literally do not have any free time to be sort of researching these various solutions. The framework that we present is, I think, a very clean model developed by late friend Tom Mulholland, which sets 4 quadrants. Number 1, what are the clear expectations of what I'm supposed to do? McKinsey had an interesting statistic came out of a study in the early 80s that found 80% of the people on the job did not know what they're supposed to be doing. And I've gotten in a fairly energetic argument with one VP of sales who said, sales reps absolutely know what they're supposed to do. They're supposed to make their number. Well, that's the goal. But how do you do that? What am I supposed to do? What's important? What matters around here? And the way most people do that is they either do what the people in the same job alongside of them are doing, what the person ahead of them did, or what they swore they'd do different if they ever got this job, which is how most sales managers are.
So that's 1/4. What's the next one?
The second one is feedback. If 80% of the people don't know what they're supposed to be doing, in our view, 90% of the people don't know how they're doing.
Right.
And again, in sales, people say, well, I'm 150% of plan, I'm doing great. I'm 60% of plan, I'm doing lousy. That's good information, but it's not how you're doing, it's how you've done so far. If the current performance does not meet expectations, it is a systems problem or a training problem. That's number 3. And number 4 quadrant is, what are the rewards and consequences? What good, bad happens if I do it? What good, bad happens if I don't do it? And frankly, those are often, if not completely upside down, at least completely disconnected.
And there's a whole new industry, online incentives.
Absolutely. Incentives and also looking at rewards and
compensation.
We had more questions last year, the second half of last year, on quota and territory assignment than we've had in all the prior years combined. So it's another hot topic.
Right.
And totally connected to how we set expectations and then how we reward people, how we incentivize.
So on one hand, there are a lot of problems. On the other hand, there are a lot of solutions out there, and there's very little time to read through those solutions.
Right.
So if you want to get more intelligence on that, go to csoinsights.com, and Barry Treloar will be happy to share his Sales Management 2.0 white paper. Thanks, Barry.
My pleasure. Thanks for having me.